Hey guys, welcome back to Candid Cinema. I'm Amanda, otherwise known as AMXND Reviews on Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd. I just want to give a huge thank you to all of my subscribers. Thank you for getting me to 300. I'm really grateful for all of your continued support, and just thank you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for liking the videos and commenting. You know I love talking about movies. And today we have a very special review. I will be reviewing Zack Snyder's Army of the Dead. Hence the sweatshirt that, yes, I got in Las Vegas. But guess what, guys? There were no zombies. I was in the clear. So, you guys know how much I love Zack Snyder, and Zack Snyder's Justice League was probably the most fun I've had this year watching a movie. But Zack Snyder topped Zack Snyder's Justice League in the entertainment section, okay? I had a blast watching Army of the Dead. It was just so much fun, and I'm not a zombie person. I could care less about zombies. I never really liked them in the films. Like, I didn't care. I thought it was always like stupid, to be perfectly honest. But once you get into different zombie films, like I watched Train to Busan, I watched Zombieland, and I watched Army of the Dead. It's just the fact that like there's so many things that you can do with zombies, and I like that there are different storylines that can cross genres in that way. You have comedies, you have like romance with like Shaun of the Dead and Warm Bodies. You have action movies that also have zombies tied into it, so it's just not necessarily zombie focused. I love when they cross that genre, and that's what Zack Snyder did. Army of the Dead did not feel like a typical zombie film. Yes, it had similar tropes and conventions. We get that, the tiered zombie hierarchy that they have. But I feel like the zombie storyline itself was kind of like sidelined. It was still there, very clear what they had to do, and you know, to defeat them, and basically they walked into a zombie wasteland, these mercenaries who had to go steal money from this vault. Right? So it was there, but I felt like it wasn't in your face as majority of zombie films are. I thought that they were perfectly placed as obstacles throughout the film itself. But it's more of a heist film, it's more of an action film, and this is how like I kind of base it off of. My dad does not like horror films, doesn't really like zombie films, and I watched the film with him, and he really loved it. Like, he enjoyed the hell out of this movie. It wasn't like overly gory, even though it does have an R rating. It just wasn't that bad and like zombie focused. What made this film so entertaining wasn't even the zombies. It wasn't even the zombies. The makeup was great for the zombies. The action scenes were pretty cool as well, but Zack did not bring in these actors to play these characters for this team in particular, then I think it would have been an entirely different film. First and foremost, you put Dave Bautista front and center, and I kind of love that Zack did that for him, because we've seen that Bautista, unless he doesn't really get the lead role, so he's always been sidelined, and he wants to grow into a serious actor. And we saw that with Blade Runner 2049. He was pretty solid in that as well, but he's growing as an actor, and he wants to, you know, kind of master this craft in his own way. So I was really happy to see him in a lead role, and he did a fantastic job. I thought he did a great job carrying the film. He had pretty solid chemistry with everyone. It's great to see that someone like Zack Snyder, who often does this, he gave Bautista a chance. People who have been sidelined or haven't been discovered yet, he gives them a chance to be a part of his team, a part of his squad, and he just wants people to have fun while working on his set, and you could really see that they had a blast filming this. Dave Bautista's character, Scott, has a very troubled relationship with his daughter, and they try to reconcile as they, you know, go into the zombie wasteland, considering what had happened previously. I'm not going to spoil, but he had a very traumatic past. And what I'm going to lead into is the opening title sequence at the beginning of this film was just amazing. It was so great. The song choice of Viva Las Vegas, Slow Down. What Zack does in his opening title sequence is that he basically shows you everything that had happened to get to this particular point where he starts the film. So I thought that was really, really awesome, especially with the song choice. So you see the Las Vegas Strip like in absolute shambles with all of these zombies running around, and they really try to get themselves out of there, but you know, they lose people along the way. So it's just such a wicked opening. The thing is, with a Zack Snyder film, you know that he has fun doing what he has to do, but it feels like Netflix was just like, here you go, do whatever the hell you want. And you could just feel from everything that happened on screen that he was just having a freaking blast making this movie. And that's what I love, that's what I want for him. He is very talented and he's very creative. So I just want him and his like full vision to be on screen. Whether you like it or you hate it, I just love that he was able to put everything that he wanted into this, and you could feel that. So going back to its cast of characters, I loved everyone. Every single person in this movie was great. Omari Hardwick was fantastic. He was great. He had great chemistry with Dieter, who was the safecracker, and it was weird. It was actually interesting because the 4 people that stood out to me, 2 were like the badass muscle, and then 2 were the ones that were like the comedic relief majority of the time. So Vandro and Lily, who were the badasses, like complete badasses. I love them in this. Still had a presence, which I loved. And then Lily, she was more aggressive and she kind of took on the leadership role in the Wasteland. So I really enjoyed what she did because she knew so much, and it was just great, and she just took like no BS, and I love that. So Lily and Vandro, my favorite characters. But then the comedic relief, we have Dieter, and then we have Marianne. So Marianne, Tig Notaro. What? I didn't expect to love her as much as I did. She was so funny. And the thing that everyone's been talking about is the fact that they completely CGI'd Tig Notaro in for each group setting, and when they had to have those conversations, because it was supposed to be Crystalia. Obviously, we know the entire situation behind that. But it was just so cool how they integrated her into the rest of the cast and like having those interactions. I do admit it was a bit disjointed, but if I didn't know the story behind it, I wouldn't have really noticed, to be perfectly honest. It did feel a bit disconnected, but knowing the story, I'm like, they did a good job. They did the best that they could to kind of integrate Tig with the rest of the team. So I think they did a fair job, you know. Dieter really was the comedic relief, and we are getting a prequel with him, so I'm really excited for that. Fingers crossed for the prequel, but I'm pretty sure it's confirmed. Like, Army of the Dead is doing extremely well on Netflix, and it did extremely well at the box office prior to the release on Netflix. So fingers crossed for that. But Dieter, oh my god, I'm gonna butcher his name if I say it, so I'm just gonna keep calling him Dieter. He was great. I had a blast watching him. He was absolutely hilarious. His chemistry with Vandro, with Omari Hardwick, was just perfect, and it carried them to the safe, to the vault. So I thought that they were standouts. Those 4 people were clear standouts, but those 4, the ones that I didn't really have an eye for going into the film, those were the standouts walking out of there. So I'm really happy for the 4 of them. Now we're gonna get into what didn't really work, the script. The script wasn't that strong. Everything was like too straightforward, too on the nose. And what I found interesting about this 2.5-hour runtime is that the first act setup was paced pretty well, and then once they got to the vault, it kind of got rocky and slowed down a bit, and it didn't pick up until the last 20-25 minutes. And then in the last 20-25 minutes, they like rushed to the ending. So it wasn't balanced in the second half, whereas like the first half I was kind of vibing because you're learning about the characters, you're setting everything up for the heist. So it's a bit different and you're like following along, but then it just fizzled a bit in the second half, and it was hard to get back into that groove that they had with the first half. But again, like the pacing, the script, yes, I understand the issues with the script. There were plenty of plot holes. There were issues in regards to like why certain characters did certain things and why certain deaths happened. I understand everyone's like grievances with that, but that's the story that he wanted to tell. These are the choices that were made, unfortunately, and I disagree with it, especially the first ending, because if you look at it, there's technically two endings. So the first ending I did not like whatsoever. There was an emotional connection that they tried to build for 2.5 hours, and then it just did not pay off at the end of this film, and I just didn't. I didn't like the way it ended. I thought that it was really rushed. And then the second ending I liked a bit more, just because it could lead to a sequel, and I don't mind that because I had a complete blast watching this film. So solely for entertainment purposes, this is like a popcorn film at its finest. It's action-packed. It's funny as hell with the characters and their banter and their interactions, which is what you want in a heist type of film. On its surface, if you're going in having a good time, then this does not disappoint. It is just so much fun. And again, I wish I was able to watch this in a theater. It just breaks my heart that I couldn't see this on the big screen, because this deserved to be on the big screen. And before I wrap up my review, I have to mention the song choices. This soundtrack is pure fire. I love every single song choice, but I love the choice at the beginning. The second I heard Suspicious Minds by Elvis Presley at the beginning of this film, and we saw like this newlywed couple going on like a joyride. They're married and they're going to Las Vegas, and they're just so happy. They're doing what they gotta do. I won't tell you what was happening. But the opening lyrics of the song is, "We're caught in a trap, we can't walk out." And that is what sets the entire movie, because that's basically what ends up happening with this zombie wasteland. So I really love that song choice. Elvis is very prominent because they're in Las Vegas, and it was just really awesome. It was fun. And like, the thing with this movie, there are so many issues with it because of the script, but I just had a big dumb smile on my face the entire time. I laughed. I was so invested in these characters, and I want to see more of them. So I gave Zack Snyder's Army of the Dead 3.5 out of 5 on Letterboxd. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed this review. If you did, please like and subscribe. You guys can always find me over at AMXND Reviews on Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd. Come join in on the conversation. I have another review planned for the middle of next week, and I'm really excited to hopefully watch A Quiet Place Part 2 next Friday. Thanks for watching, guys, and keep watching movies.